Welcome back, everyone. It's so good to have you. It's so nice to keep seeing you coming back here. It is fantastic. I'm really glad to be here with my co-host, Richard Haggerty, the coach of coaches, uh, ready to help us out here and see in how many ways we can continue to improve the ways that sometimes our mind, for the best with the best of tendencies, tends to trip us up. Richard, so nice to have you.
Thank you, Oresztesz. So that's very kind, very kind. I'm so happy to be here. I love what we're doing on Mindful Matters, and it's just a beautiful way to connect with people. And of course, I've got my co-host here, the wonderful Oresztesz, who is an insanely curious and interested polyglot, hypnotist, a coach, a wonderful trainer, and I just feel really honoured. I really feel honoured to be here, because I think we are, and we've said it before, we live in a great time of opportunity where we can connect and share ideas and share best practices and learnings, so we can all evolve. And that's really what we want. That's really what we want to shine a light on here.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I really appreciate the kind introduction. Thank you, thank you. I'll have something now to live up to. It's kind of a little bit of a watchful eye hovering over me. See what I did there?
I like your style.
We're getting already into one of the many effects that have a tendency to affect us when we are having some kind of a social interaction. And
Yes.
and one of these you mentioned in your article. It's very interesting. The watchful eye effect. Which would you like to describe it quickly first?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it is fascinating. The whole idea of this is that the people basically will become more helpful, or have a tendency to become more altruistic, if they think somebody's watching them. If they feel or think that somebody's watching them, then it tends to change their behavior. And one of the possible reasons is that we have such a desire to be part of the crowd. We talked about this before, but to fit in with this sort of looking glass effect, that we traditionally in societies, we would imagine our value and our contribution through the eyes of other people. So we would, so particularly with nuclear families and small tribal communities, it worked very, very well. But this tendency, some people think, is motivated by the gain to the motivation to maintain a kind of positive social reputation, and it can be very, very powerful.
Yes, absolutely. I believe even just an icon is very, very useful. It's very interesting. In our street here in Mexico, we experienced one or two attempts of break-in into some of the houses. So it was very nice because all of the neighbors got together, and we put up a ton of cameras around the neighborhood as a collaboration. But it kind of covers most of the street on both sides. And the problem completely disappeared for years. Yes. We have never, but we haven't had any problem since. And it's really interesting because I don't even really know how good of an actual protection, or nobody actually wants to have to look up these recordings, try to figure out they are there. Sometimes the images are grainy. It might be overnight. Then you have to go through litigation. So it's not really something that helps you, but it's just the idea that you are being watched. Behave.
Absolutely. And I think that in that case, it's kind of quite overt, isn't it? We kind of know when we see that signal, or we see the kind of thing saying security cameras are here, that it creates a kind of feeling in us, and we all know what that's like when we see that kind of sign saying, you're being monitored on, CCTV. And it does make you stop and pause. But we talked before about the power of projection and how people will do that inside their own minds. And the thing is that triggered sort of in the wrong context, a person can start to again use their mind to imagine scenarios or imagine that people perhaps are judging them or could be judging them, just because, just literally in the power of their mind. Because of course, if you are imagining, I mean, think about this, like a classic kind of thing when somebody I think I can't think of many obvious exceptions. For most of the people who've come to see me over the last couple of decades who've had a fear of public speaking, they imagine a group of people in front of them staring at them. And they imagine being judged, the kind of almost the eyes of those people boring on them or looking through them and judging them. And so it's a kind of a hallucination of projection, which ties in, I think, a little bit to the watching eye effect, because the result is the same, except in that case it can often be sort of on the negative.
So the recommendation here, I would venture to say, is you can absolutely have the positive side as with any kind of stress. And we're not going to go yet into stress management. That might be the theme at some point, but a certain amount of it, it's good. As long as it motivates you. For example,
Yes.
Just the concept of the watching eye effect actually puts into a little bit of a different perspective the big, the pictures of the boss on over the office, on the office, just watching down on everyone. The family pictures, just you having your family pictures around you, knowing that when you are working, you are also you also want to remember that you are in connection with them and you are doing your work to help out your family. So that kind of connection, just having your wife look at you,
yes.
right from there in the picture,
Definitely.
that can help. So just a little bit of upping the stress, if it's at a low level, it can be very helpful. Now again, when you are in a social situation, you might already have a high enough or maybe too high of a level of pressure, and stress and pressure have diminishing returns. There is a curve that kind of tapers out at the top, and in fact begins to start to really limit you and maybe even block completely. So in those situations, just remembering that you can let go of those projections and let go of those expectations, it can be very, very liberating.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, and I think that I really like that, and there's a concept called mindsight, which is about learning to shine, and it's kind of a form of awareness where you're simply shining a light, shall we say, on your current thinking and feeling inside, internally, and your pictures. And I really like it because it's the mediating block for exactly what you're saying, Oresztesz, that we'll all tend to have a certain number of these running by default. These are kind of normal, should we say, even like healthy kind of ways, the positive stress, or the different types of stress, the distress, the eustress, they're all there. These different type of looking glass self type phenomena. But once you get used to just a little pause, just being able to be aware of it, even when they've taught this to very young children, 5, 6, 7, if they can become aware of the fact that this is going on inside them, then you start to get choice about how to respond. And that's the beauty of this. So even those people who maybe suddenly realize that, oh my God, I'm feeling so anxious because I'm going to be going to an interview or doing a presentation. Or they can use that as leverage. They can use that awareness to seek some help to change that.
So what do you say? I could how about you walk me through a very quick version of that exercise? I will role play a person that is a little bit anxious, or a little too anxious, getting
Sure,
ready for a job interview, let's say, right?
sure,
So let's say that I would be creating the kind of imagery that is frightening me.
sure,
I
sure,
am um, I am thinking like, oh, there's going to be at least two, three people at the interview.
sure,
They're bored of seeing tons of people,
sure,
and they're annoyed with me because I'm just no good. Is
for
that
sure.
some kind of the imagery I would have?
For sure, for sure, for sure. That's very common. And then let's just say, for the argument's sake, that it's making you feel anxious, and you're perspiring or something like that. Okay, and your
Right.
breathing gets comfortable.
Absolutely.
So really, once we've identified that, so we've got that, we've had the discussion. You said, you know what, and it's pretty much the same thing. Oh, I'll be going in there, I'll be seeing these things. This is how I'm feeling. So then we say, well, look, okay, look,
Mhm.
Oresztesz, I understand this is really important for you. Can I just
Yeah.
ask you, if you could get this handled
Hmm.
and you knew that you could go in there, and you could actually take care of this, how would you be feeling that's different?
Uh, well, I think I would feel just confident and calm,
Hmm,
being able to handle this and
sure,
let them know what I know and see if we're a good fit. I
excellent.
might even be calm enough to ask them questions to see
Mhm.
if the fit is working both ways, with respect, of course.
Wonderful, wonderful. So confident and calm,
Yes.
confident and calm. Nice. So look, if I could just show you how easy it is, just maybe in a few seconds,
Hmm.
less than a minute, show you how you could be a little bit more comfortable or a little bit more confident and calm.
Hmm.
Would that be of something that's of interest to you?
Yes, of course. I'd love to feel confident in this interview. Of course.
Wonderful. So let me show you a little thing, and for this you can do it with eyes open, or sometimes a little bit easier to focus with eyes closed. So whichever you prefer.
Okay.
So just take a moment, and I'd like you to just notice the sensations in your eyelids, and just comfortably allow them to relax. And once they're comfortably relaxed, go ahead and show for yourself that they're so relaxed that they just don't want to open.
Hmm.
And then let that go and let that relax through your body. And as that comfort spreads, take a moment to imagine that in front of you, you could notice your face. And the moment you notice your face, I'd like you to notice a smile starting to appear. As that smile appears, you can start to sense a certain calm and confidence through your body. You can see it in your eyes. Now, I don't know if that picture's going to be a little bit more clear now as it comes closer to you. But as you see that there and as you feel that calm and confidence all the way through your body, take a moment now to notice how your body's feeling. That's calm and confident now. And then when you're ready, just gently open your eyes and come on back. Nice. So how you doing, Oresztesz? You enjoy that?
Yeah, that was very nice. It
Mm.
when you said that my face was coming closer, I had this strange experience of I already imagined it quite close, and then somehow I got into a hug with
Wow.
the version of myself. And interestingly, it kind of transmitted a sense of that calm confidence. Like I could feel
Beautiful.
this other version of me be calm and
Hmm.
confident, and it would
Yes.
start to fill me up with that same sensation.
Lovely.
That's very interesting.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. And so I really like how that merged there. And that's the thing, because all we're doing there is just switching around a little bit the
Mm,
the focus, the immediate focus inside. And I know that you have much experience doing this as well, and you've done this with many people. And that's the beauty of the work that we're doing, because it's about teaching people that you can very quickly start to orient yourself differently and take charge inside. Now, some things are going to take some time to do. It's going to need a period of
right.
conditioning. But once you know that these things, once you know the kind of the traps, shall we say, or certain things to look out for, and you can observe like that, then you can do that. And who knows, you might even start to get a hug from yourself, another self that transmits some calm and confidence to you. So good job. So thank you for playing along, Oresztesz.
Thank you. And what I really love about a process like this is just the fact that I focused on calmness and confidence. You can really feel it. You can really
Mm.
feel that sensation inside your body. And this was an exercise of, I don't know, like 5 minutes tops, where I spent like 3 minutes focused on this sensation, and it continues to linger. It just reminds me how powerful the human mind can be, where imagine that you are focusing on all of your capabilities for half an hour, for a full session, that you're just completely
Yes.
focused and connecting to how you are capable. I mean, we all have moments of solving problems, overcoming obstacles, getting back up on our feet even after being being pushed to the ground or
Hmm.
falling on our faces. We we have all done that, I believe. I hope I hope that you have all taken some risk, and then you have some memories of getting back up, because we all have this amazing ability and a ton of strength. And just focusing on this, even for a short while, I can still
Mm.
feel that confidence from this exercise that just took a few seconds to
Yeah,
complete. I really love our work and how we reconnect people to their resources and remind them of their capabilities.
definitely. And I think that's it. And I think I think it's beautifully put, that you're just reminding them to reconnect with those resources. We've all had times that have, whether we may not even have known it, but on reflection, maybe we've been in nature, or we've enjoyed a beautiful sunset, or we've had an experience in nature, or just a time that was so peaceful and tranquil. And that, once you've had that experience, your body can go back there. It can recreate that experience. And once you know that, and you know that you can choose those types of experience you want to feel, that is it becomes more wonderful, because you can choose to do that, for instance, in the lead up to something practical, like giving a presentation or an interview, or going on a date, or meeting people socially, and you'll tend to experience the byproducts of lingering in those kind of positive emotions more, and the natural behaviors that flow from it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, Now, this way, I think we already have some ideas of what are the things that you can do to handle the watching eye effect, being observed. And even though this is a little bit related, I think it's also interesting to explore the idea of the demand characteristics that
Mm,
that we usually project the expectations that people have of us, and we try
mm,
to live up to those expectations.
Mm.
I don't know if this is also the effect of how people are taking tests. And sometimes it's
Hmm.
very common for
Yep.
them trying to beat the test or trying to figure
Yep.
out what the best answer or the highest the highest score is going to be, and you want to be aware of how that effect can actually
Yeah.
change the way in
Yeah.
which people interact with tests.
Yep.
But this is what is really fascinating about this the main characteristics for me is that this is such a powerful effect that it must be taken into account for
Mm.
physiological results, for
Yep.
tests, for whenever some kind of medication is being tested. It is it has such a powerful effect that you do want to try and reduce it as much as possible. Otherwise, it will interfere.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. Well, look, this is so powerful. I mean, it's caused actually at the moment there is a lot of challenge. There are a lot of challenges in the area of social psychology because all the classic experiments are suffering from problems of replicability. Because this because the demand characteristic, well, there's two phases to it. There's the actual demand characteristic is it's like this subtle cue that that the experimenter gives to the participants that there's a response that is expected. Okay. And that we know that creates a huge thing. Now we have that side of it. Then we have a slightly more overt example of that with a lot of the classic experiments, like the prison experiments, the famous ones that Zimbardo did with people being assigned as prison guards and people who were prisoners. They were told they weren't just demand characteristics. They were even told how they were expected to be, and he wasn't necessarily, maybe it wasn't clear maybe in the standard literature, up till sort of relatively recently that was the case. But these are challenges. Now, I will tell you, one of my friends and peers, Dr. Jeremy Howitt, was looking at this for research in his book, Dr. You. There was they double blind and they triple blind for experiments, yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
there were lots of cases of the researchers, and particularly like people based in hospitals who had access to the raw data, trying to look through it to guess whether people were in the placebo arm or whether they were taking the actual medication. So much so that they were getting really good instincts because they were doing this time and time again. Like they weren't told it, but they were still trying to figure it out. And so this kind of demand, these kind of demand characteristics, they can't not come through and influence the way that other people are around us. And in our day-to-day lives, it's worth giving pause for thought about like how we behave in terms of like subtle cues of how we expect maybe other people to be, and vice versa. Whether that is moving us in the most useful and empowering and constructive direction, or whether it's kind of limiting a little bit.
Absolutely. And as a general rule, the recommendation here is to remember your own demands and your own focus. Because the stronger you are focused on your goals, on and on the other person, but the actual other person, not your imagination. If you truly are paying attention to the other person, you will soon find out
Mm.
that they are also filled up with their own insecurities. They also have 1,000 things in their mind. They are tripping themselves up with
Mm.
with whatever stories and beliefs they hold true in their mind. So
Yep.
the way you can get around this, and this is more of a general life advice that is going to apply to most of the mental fallacies that we think about, is to really be in the present moment.
Yes.
Notice when you're adding to the present moment from your own story, either from the past you're adding things that are not relevant anymore, or you are adding things that are not relevant to this person. You are just making them up from your
Yes.
own expectations. They have given you no sign of actual rejection. And some people, so, and of course, we all fall into this now and then. uh, we actually create this. It
Mm.
reminds me of the old joke of the person walking over to borrow the lawnmower from their friend, from their neighbor that is a few minutes walk away. I guess it would be like farmhouses or something, just like a really open space, and you can kind of hear them thinking, "Oh yeah, well I'll get this. I'll get this. I got my friend to lend me the lawnmower. Yeah, they really owe me for the other time that I lent them something, and yeah, but then there was this other time and they felt like this, and maybe they're not even gonna lend me the lawnmower,
Mhm.
and that would be really bad. That would be really nasty from them. I don't know why they wouldn't lend me the lawnmower, and then just continues the person continues to just get himself pull himself
Mhm.
further and further into this pit. By the time he gets to the door and actually rings the bell and the neighbor comes out, and the idea, hey neighbor, how can I help you? Yeah, screw your lawnmower, you whatever, and just turns away and walks back home. Make sure that you're not doing that.
For sure, for sure. And I think there's two kind of, I think we're kind of drawing at this like almost like a dual sort of like parallel thing that you can do that sometimes maybe are seen as a contradictory, but actually are both essential to run together. The first is this kind of idea of mindset, which, as you say, is like kind of pausing to just become aware of how you're feeling and the way that you're talking to yourself in certain situations, and just realize that um, you know um, you may be adding, in fact you probably are adding extra things in there that aren't in that situation, and when you stop doing that, well, you experience a lot more peace and you're able to act much more resourcefully. And the second aspect of that, which I think you alluded to last time, as some wisdom that you were given about from a mentor about um, overcoming egoism, that it's not all about you. And the way I like to think about this is to develop an other focus. So the easiest way, there are kind of two things, they work really nicely in parallel. One is develop this intense sort of self-awareness of how your thoughts and feelings are kind of triggering you, not to become too introspective, but just to be able to catch yourself, okay, and to be able to be more present. And then secondly, with the extra kind of mental bandwidth that you have, to focus more on the other people who you're with, because once you start doing that, then and this classically happens to a lot of us who become parents. We a lot of our insecurities or worries, or like, oh, like, even if you were socially anxious before or whatever, well, once you have a child, you have to go out and meet people, you have to go and do things, you have to go into school, and you have to go and do things for other people. And I'm not saying that's not the only way to do things. I know Ericsson used to like send people away to get married and have families, and it's not the only way to. There's many ways to do this, but the idea of shifting from allowing yourself to be carried away by your inner narration and being able to just start to put a little bit of mindfulness in there to be able to shift your focus can be very, very powerful, because then you can, you'll feel a lot better and be more present, but also then you're able to have a much more in the moment conversation. You're able to really engage with other people much more, and we are social creatures.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And I would say I really appreciate you for showing up, and you, Richard, and also our listeners. I'm really happy to have you on listening to this podcast, and I hope you are taking away some practical ways in which you can catch yourself when you find yourself spiraling into any of these. Just the awareness that you're getting from these discussions will help you notice when you're doing this. It's going to be so much easier to jump out of it. It's basically like I don't know. Have we talked about naming emotions yet? I'm not sure.
No, I don't think so. Not
Well,
recently.
it will be a very important idea that you can use in which you can kind of interrupt an emotional process just by putting a name on it. Now,
Mhm.
this is kind of a pre-made capsule, like I don't know how Pokeballs work. This might be it. As soon as you notice that you're doing this, your mind is already just going to clamp around it and say, "Hey, you're just doing this thing. This is just the demand characteristic. You're just putting pressure on yourself because you see other people observing you. Don't worry, you're fine." And you will immediately get some or a lot of calmness and confidence. If you'd like to, you can actually just rewind the video and go back to when Richard is uh, doing a little bit of a demonstration of this of one of the many exercises that we have as coaches in our toolboxes. And jump, just jump in as if you were the client, or if you're actually experiencing this, you can fill in your own experience and have a ton of fun. And I would really like to thank you for staying here till the end. And I hope we will be seeing you in the future because it is a lot of fun to just have these quick chats with Richard. I'm enjoying these, and I hope you are getting a lot of value out of them as well. Richard?
Yeah, thank you so much, Oresztesz. Absolutely. And let us know, subscribe, please do share with your friends, and if there are any questions you've got or any comments or topics you'd like us to talk about, please put them in the comments. Okay. And, and if you want to find out more, there's comments below, you'll be able to find information as well about how to contact Oresztesz and me. But at the moment, I'd say on Substack is a good way to stay in touch with me and also follow me on Twitter as well. And Oresztesz, how can people get in touch with you?
Absolutely. You can visit Less Anxiety Today, both as a Facebook page and as the website, lessanxietytoday.com. And of course, on the YouTube channel, Less Anxiety Today, you will find lots of short videos also talking about different topics that will help you lessen anxiety, hopefully.
Beautiful.
And thank you so much for listening, and see you next week. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.